Hey there, VCE HHD students. My name's Andy. I'm a VC Health and Human Development teacher. In this short video, we're going to look at the Australian and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander guides to healthy eating. If you're on YouTube at the moment, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel by pushing the button in the bottom corner of the video there. That means you'll get alerts to all of our videos as they come out across the year. Also got our website, thehrh.net.au, where there's opportunities for teachers and students, and that's being updated regularly, so please go and check that out. We've got our Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook pages where you can follow us and get alerts to all of our new videos and other opportunities, and also an email, info@thehrh.net.au, if you'd like to get in touch. So this video is relevant to Unit 3, Area Study 2 for the 2025 plus HHD study design. And so what parts of the course do this specifically relate to? So you can see here the Unit 3 key knowledge and key skill. We have done a previous video on the Australian Dietary Guidelines that also relates to this key knowledge point about initiatives to promote healthy eating in Australia, including the Australian Dietary Guidelines. But today we're focusing on the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating and the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Guide to Healthy Eating. So that's why they're in bold there. You can see down the bottom there, the key skill is to evaluate the impact of initiatives to promote healthy eating in Australia and their ability to improve health outcomes. So when we're looking at these two different guides, it's thinking about how can these guides help to improve health and well-being and health status, and think about promote healthy eating. So we'll look at both of these guides. The first one here you can see on the screen is the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating. So essentially this is a visual poster, a visual representation of Dietary Guidelines 2 and 3. And so we looked at Dietary Guidelines in the previous video, so you're not sure what I'm talking about, please go back and have a look at that video. But essentially this here, okay, is representing the 5 food groups in the form of a plate. And you can see there that that plate is divided into wedges for each of those 5 food groups. And the size of each wedge, okay, represents the proportion of food group that you should be consuming in your daily diet. So you can see the information on the right there. It gives you that approximate percentage size of each of those wedges. And now I think it's really important that you know, okay, a lot of detail about this particular poster or this visual representation of Dietary Guidelines 2 and 3, because if you're referencing it in an answer to a question, you need to demonstrate that you have quite a bit of knowledge about this particular visual representation, okay, of the 5 food groups. So I would recommend that those 5 examples there of the approximate percentage size or the proportion of each of those 5 food groups is information that you can remember. So you can see there it mentions for the grain or cereal food groups, it's approximately 30 to 35% of the circle. Vegetables, approximately 30%. Lean meats, okay, approximately 15%. Fruit, 10%, and milk and dairy, 10%. And so why that is important is if you're looking at answering a question and you're referring to, okay, a specific food group, you can then include in your answer what the recommended proportion of that food group is that people should be consuming each day. And that can then help you, okay, as you explain why that could perhaps help to promote health and well-being, okay, or improve health status. And we'll have a look at a sample question and a sample answer coming up where you're able to demonstrate this. So you can also see that on the outside of the plate, there are a few things. So there's obviously a glass of water, recommending that water is the beverage of choice for individuals. And that's obviously instead of things like sugary drinks. So obviously water has 0 kilojoules, and so that can help to maintain a healthy diet and obviously help people get hydrated, etc. Down the bottom there, it says use in small amounts for healthy fats and oils. And then on the bottom right, it says only sometimes and in small amounts. And they're discretionary foods, so things that are high in nutrients like saturated fat, salt, and sugar, and also things like alcohol as well. So knowing that amount of detail, okay, is important. I definitely recommend that you also know the different nutrients that are, okay, represented in the different food groups and also those different aspects on outside of the plate, because once again, you can draw on that knowledge as part of an answer to a question. All right, so then we've got the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Guide to Healthy Eating. So that's where the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating has been adapted to create a version that's culturally relevant for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. And so it can be used by health professionals, educators throughout Australia in a range of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community settings. And this means that the information present obviously is more relevant, okay? It includes images and references to more culturally relevant foods. And so you can see some examples there like damper, kangaroo, goanna, okay, and also some bush fruits and vegetables. And so that information there can be applied as an initiative that can help to promote healthy eating amongst Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. You can see there that a lot of the information otherwise is very similar to the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, with the proportion of the 5 food groups represented in wedges, and also outside of that you can see once again water, okay, as the beverage of choice, and then once again use small amounts and only sometimes and in small amounts. So otherwise it's essentially very similar to the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating. It's just a more culturally relevant version for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Okay, so you should also know probably some strengths and limitations of both of these guides in relation to how they can assist people to promote healthy eating, but obviously they're not perfect either. So you can see some here. I won't talk through every single one, but some of the strengths are that these are federal government initiatives, and so they're freely available online, so people can access them, okay, if they want to, download them, and then think about how that applies to their daily food intake. So they're available to a wide range of people. You can see I've mentioned there previously that they represent dietary guidelines 2 and 3 in a visual way, so that can make it easier for people to understand dietary guidelines 2 and 3 by placing, okay, the different food groups into, okay, this plate with the wedges, and that can make it easier for people potentially to think about how much of these different foods they should be consuming each day. In terms of some of the limitations, okay, it's not always that easy for individuals when perhaps they're eating something like a quiche or a pizza to think about, okay, if I break this down, okay, what kind of proportions am I consuming of the different food groups within this pizza, within this quiche? So it's not always as simple as people just eating a specific food that easily falls into a food group. Also, it mentions there that it doesn't provide specific information on the number of serves or serving sizes for the 5 food groups in these posters. You have to go back and dive into the dietary guidelines to find that specific information. So they're just a couple of strengths and limitations. There's also others that I'd recommend that you know a few examples of each. Okay, so let's have a look at a sample question and a sample answer that relates to the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating. So you can see here the question is, outline how the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating may help reduce the incidence of osteoporosis in Australia, and it's worth 3 marks. So breaking the question down, obviously we're referring to the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating here, and it's talking about reducing the incidence, okay? So you've got to always look at, obviously, the direction which the question is asking you to respond, and this is about reducing the incidence of osteoporosis in Australia. So when you think about a health condition and you're thinking about, okay, the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating or any of these promoting healthy eating initiatives, I'd be thinking about, okay, what nutrients do I know, okay, can help to reduce the incidence of osteoporosis? So I'd be thinking about calcium in this instance. So let's have a look at the sample answer. If Australians follow the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, this means approximately 10% of their daily food intake will come from the dairy food group. And so that's what I meant earlier about knowing, okay, those percentages of the different size wedges, okay, within that plate. You can then incorporate that into an answer like this. Then it says there, dairy foods are often high in the nutrient calcium. Calcium helps to strengthen bones and develop the bone matrix. So that's obviously relevant to osteoporosis. Then it says, therefore, daily dairy consumption can help to reduce the likelihood of people developing osteoporosis, helping to reduce the incidence of osteoporosis in Australia. So you can see there, you've just taken your understanding of the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating, okay, chosen a specific food group that's represented there, linked it to a nutrient, and then linked it to the health condition, and then gone back and mentioned the particular term included in the question, so the health status term, helping to reduce the incidence. So hopefully that helps to give you a sense of how you can take your understanding of both of these guides and then apply that to a particular question. If you haven't already, you might like to sign up to our free student newsletter on our website. I'll be sending out some more practice questions related, okay, to these different aspects of Unit 3 Area Study 2 soon. And so if you head to the hrh.net.au, you'll see there's a free sign-up link there for students to sign up to our student newsletter, and you'll get some resources to help you apply your understanding of these different guides. Also, if you're looking for extra questions, there's this ACE Revisions questions book that I've worked on this year. It's got over 500 marks worth of practice questions, as well as a full chapter sample questions and sample answers on extended response questions, which could be useful for your upcoming SAC or the end of your exam. It's also got a full trial exam and sample answers as well. So if you head to book.acevce.com, you can get a copy of that in the post. Okay, hope you found that video useful. Thanks so much.